Mrs Doubtfire, a classic 90s film starring the late great Robin Williams. I remember seeing this one at least once or twice, but for some reason not only is the film mostly forgettable, but I don't have the fondest memories of it. It's not that I hate the film, it's just that it's not something I'd go out of my way to see or recommend. This is an opportunity to maybe say what I don't get on with, or perhaps change my mind. It's been known to happen. Here's my review of Mrs Doubtfire. Daniel is a voice actor and father of three. After picking up his kids from school, he decides to throw a party for his middle child, Chris, as it's his 12th birthday, despite wife Miranda stating he isn't allowed to. Daniel throws a wild party, which includes loud music and a mobile petting zoo. Their neighbour contacts Miranda at the office to tell her what's happening, and Miranda shuts the party down. In the aftermath, the parents argue, and despite Daniel's protests, Miranda tells him she wants a divorce. In the custody hearing, Daniel is told to find a suitable home and a job in order to share custody. Daniel does this, finding a menial job in a TV studio and finding an apartment, but he isn't taking his one-day-a-week visitation well. When picking him up one night, Miranda mentions that she's looking for a housekeeper. After Daniel volunteers and is turned down, he alters the phone number on the advert and calls several times, putting on voices and personas of poor candidates, before calling up again as the perfect candidate with a name he takes from a newspaper headline, Mrs Doubtfire. Mrs Doubtfire is given an interview and is hired shortly afterwards, using a disguise made from a bodysuit and mask made by his brother, a professional makeup artist. Mrs Doubtfire has a shaky start as Lydia, the eldest child, rebels against the housekeeper's stricter schedule, but is quickly put in her place when she's made to clean the house with her siblings. Mrs Doubtfire also struggles to cook dinner, and after an expensive takeout to cover this up, Miranda comes home to a clean home and gourmet meal. Daniel continues to live between his day job and Mrs Doubtfire's evening job, enjoying quality time with his kids in secret and trying to put Miranda off for the advances of Stuart, an old college boyfriend. During one evening, Chris accidentally walks in on Mrs Doubtfire using the toilet standing up. Daniel reveals that he is Mrs Doubtfire, but swears both Chris and Lydia to secrecy. Meanwhile at work, Daniel starts playing with dinosaur toys and is watched by the studio owner, Mr. Lundy, who's impressed by his showmanship and invites him to a business dinner to see if he'd be interested in taking over the kids' show, which is boring everyone watching and making it. Miranda invites Mrs. Doubtfire to a birthday dinner, which is at the same restaurant at the same time. Daniel can't rearrange or get out of either meeting, and so attempts to have both a family dinner as Mrs. Doubtfire and a business meeting with a lot of scotch as Daniel. There are some questionable moments, especially as Daniel gets increasingly more drunk, but when he hears that Stuart is allergic to pepper, he sneaks into the kitchen as Mrs. Doubtfire to put pepper on his food. Stuart chokes, and Mrs. Doubtfire saves him using the Heimlich maneuver. However, this causes the face mask to fall off, revealing that Mrs. Doubtfire and Daniel are one and the same. In the custody meeting, the judge decides that Daniel cannot have custody or unsupervised visitations with his children. Mrs. Doubtfire has become a popular character on TV, and after a taping, Miranda comes to visit him to talk. Soon afterwards, Miranda explains to the kids that Daniel can now take the kids out for a couple of hours each day, and the film ends with Daniel doing just that, whilst Mrs. Doubtfire gives advice on the TV to a child whose parents are splitting up. So, what's wrong with Mrs. Doubtfire? Not much, as it turns out. This is a much more enjoyable and funny film than I remember. And it's mostly down to the performance of the late great Robin Williams. If you don't like his brand of humour, I don't think there's much else that's going to interest you, as he is the focal point of the film, but it doesn't feel vapid without him. It's clear there's a lot of his own brand of improvisation that made the final cut, including the scene where Mrs. Doubtfire's face mask drips into the law clerk's tea. It wasn't supposed to happen, but Robin stayed in character and the whole section remained. Incredible work. The supporting actors do a great job in giving just the right amount of depth to the people important to the story. Lydia tests boundaries before apologising and appreciating what Mrs. Doubtfire does. Chris isn't immediately on board with the reveal of Daniel as Mrs. Doubtfire, and Natalie, the youngest, is a 5-year-old sponge who adores her dad and Mrs. Doubtfire. The latter is played by Mara Wilson, who you may recognise from several films in this era, such as Matilda or Thomas and the Magic Railroad. I feel Pierce Brosnan as Stuart does just enough. It feels like he should be a secret villain, like he would end up being someone that's using Miranda, and the opportunity is there when he speaks to his friend at the poolside bar, but aside from bashing Daniel, he's a perfect gentleman, and he's even willing to be a father figure to Miranda's kids. It does mean there's no focal villain for the audience to root against. Maybe the legal system, but that's a stretch. We never find out what happens to Stuart after the restaurant either. Did he and Miranda stay together? Did the situation cause them to break up? it's a little bit unsatisfying. In fact, the ending in general was a bit flat, with Miranda saying that she took care of the court issues so Daniel can have unsupervised visits. It kind of makes the whole court scene a few minutes earlier pointless, taking away from any tension from that scene. It's a shame really, because the courtroom scenes, though short, show Daniel at his most serious and emotional in his pleas to the judge. Still, there is a version where they get back together, and I'm glad they didn't go with that at least. The former spouses should stay apart for the story in my opinion. There are a lot of scenes cut from the film, even a subplot involving the neighbour and Mrs Doubtfire. How's this for a fun link? Polly Holliday plays the neighbour, who I know as Jill's mother from Home Improvement. Although the film is based on the Anne Fine book Madame Doubtfire, the first pitch for the film was a Home Improvement spin-off, where Tim and Jill get separated, which was nixed by Tim Allen. Tim Allen was also suggested when the film was rewritten, and in hindsight, I think Robin Williams was the right choice to play Daniel. Daniel's plan is a bit wacky, but considering the nature of the film, it's forgivable. He wants to spend time with his kids whatever the cost. It's a little bit tenuous that both meals will be at the same place at the same time, but again, you have to suspend your disbelief just a little bit on that. What's great though is that Miranda trusts Mrs Doubtfire so much that she confides in her, allowing Daniel to learn more about himself and their previous marriage than he thought he knew. It gives him great character growth and maturity by the end. Miranda too sees how desperate Daniel is to spend time with his kids and tries to meet him halfway, learning that Daniel isn't a purely selfish man-child. Well, not completely anyway. The real marvel of the film though is the makeup, the prosthetics of the Mrs Doubtfire costume. It took 4 hours a day to put on, and it's so convincing that Robin Williams apparently went shopping in an adult store whilst in character.
But I was once dressed as her in San Francisco, and I walked into a sex shop. And I tried to buy a double-headed dildo. And I was going, that one right there, the big one. Do you have anything without veins?
It's the reason Mrs Doubtfire won the Best Makeup Award at the Oscars that year. With it being the second highest grossing film in 1993, behind Jurassic Park, it's no surprise that sequels were being developed. However, for multiple reasons, they just didn't happen. Script issues, previous actors not wanting to get involved, and then Robin Williams passing in 2014. There is, however, a musical adaptation. The run in London has just come to an end. A shame because I'd probably want to go see it now following my most recent viewing of this film. However, it is going on a UK tour, so maybe if the stars align, I'll get to see it. Mrs Doubtfire surprised me. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, and to find so little faults. It's a film that, although dated in places with its pop culture references, is still a really sweet, funny family film that can be enjoyed over 30 years later. The fact that the stage show now is a huge success is testament that there's something special here that's beloved by fans and for a good reason. I recommend Mrs Doubtfire if you haven't seen it already. It may surprise you with how convincing it is. Thank you for watching this video. If you like what you see, please give this video a like and share it on social media. Maybe leave a comment below about what you thought of this video. And if you'd like to see more, please subscribe for more content. If you'd like to support me in other ways, you can buy merchandise at bradleyj.tmail.com, where you can buy t-shirts, tote bags and more. Or you can become a Patreon at www.patreon.com/BradleyJVoices for just £1 a month. Coming up next for the Film Review Open Challenge is The Dark Knight. For now though, thank you very much for watching.